Okay, so have you ever had one of those stretches, like days where your clarity just vanishes? You're trying to read something important, maybe, but the words just
They wow.
stick.
Oh, absolutely. Or you open your laptop, meaning to do one specific thing,
Right.
and then suddenly it's like 45 minutes later and you've been scrolling through something totally irrelevant.
Exactly. It's kind of the classic sign of modern cognitive overload, isn't it?
It really is. We've somehow become like professional jugglers of distractions. And the irony is, we spend so much time making sure our phones and devices are charged up.
Mm-hmm. Always charging.
But, how much intentional effort are we really putting into maintaining, let alone optimizing, the most powerful tool we actually possess, the one running everything?
Totally. It feels like we're operating in this state of like constant low-level mental chaos. You've got endless notifications, these information fire hoses pointed right at us,
Yeah.
and chronic stress.
Yeah.
It leads straight to decision fatigue. We're just mentally burned out. Our ability to focus deeply, it feels like it's, well, atrophied.
And the thing is, our brains weren't built for this. They evolved for deep, sustained focus, for hunting, for solving complex problems, creating things.
Now tab switching.
Exactly. Now, because we're constantly flipping between emails, messages, websites, we're forcing our minds into becoming what one study actually called mental pinballs.
Mental pinballs.
Yeah. And the cognitive cost of that constant task switching, it's way higher than most people even realize.
So, okay, the mission for this deep dive then is optimization.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, not the expensive supplements or really complex biohacking stuff.
Right.
We're looking at the fundamental things. Practical, science-backed ways to use your brain's own natural capacity for change. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
Because here's the really exciting part, the underlying scientific promise.
Yeah.
Your brain isn't static. It's not like a machine that just wears out.
Not at all. It's dynamic. It's constantly adapting, rewiring
I
itself.
think that's neuroplasticity, right?
That's it, exactly. Neuroplasticity. This incredible ability the brain has to restructure itself based on experience. And what that means is, well, clearer thinking, sharper memory, better performance. It's absolutely achievable.
Regardless of age or background.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter if you're trying to master some complex new skill for work or honestly just trying to remember 3 new names you heard at a networking event.
Okay.
Intentional optimization is possible. We have to stop treating our brains like these passive buckets catching information and start treating them like the high-performance systems they are.
Right. Treat it like a system. And to run any high-performance system, you've got to start with the basics, the non-negotiables.
The foundations.
Which brings us to, sleep and fuel.
Yeah.
Let's start with sleep. It feels like the thing everyone cheats on, often because we just think of it as, rest, downtime.
And that's the critical misunderstanding, isn't it? Sleep isn't passive downtime at all. It's an intensely active process. It's about reorganization, detoxification. When you sleep, your brain is busy processing the day's information, organizing synaptic connections, consolidating memories, essentially filing things away into long-term storage, like hitting save.
So if you skip sleep or cut it short,
well, those memories often don't get filed correctly. They can just dissipate.
I remember reading somewhere that being sleep deprived impairs your judgment almost exactly like being moderately drunk does.
That's right. It's a similar level of cognitive impairment, which is a pretty scary thought if you're pulling an all-nighter before something important.
Yeah, definitely.
And what's really fascinating, I think, is the physical cleanup that happens during sleep. Particularly during deep sleep, the glymphatic system kicks into high gear.
The glymphatic system. Okay, what's that?
Think of it like the brain's dedicated plumbing or waste removal system. It uses cerebrospinal fluid to flush out metabolic byproducts that accumulate during waking hours.
Waste products. Like what?
Things like amyloid beta proteins, which are, linked to cognitive decline and diseases like Alzheimer's over the long term.
Wow.
So if you consistently shortchange yourself on that deep sleep, that crucial biological cleanup crew just never gets to fully complete its job.
Right. That makes sense. So how do we optimize for that? I mean, beyond the usual advice of just sleep more, what's a specific targeted action?
Well, a key factor for getting quality deep sleep is managing temperature. It seems counterintuitive, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
but studies show a slight drop in your core body temperature is a crucial signal for the brain to actually enter those deep restorative sleep phases.
Huh. Interesting. So keep the room cool.
Exactly. Aim for maybe the lower 60s Fahrenheit, around 18 Celsius, and of course, make it pitch black. Darkness is key for melatonin.
Okay, cool and dark. And the other big sleep killer,
Light.
light, especially blue light from screens. We all kind of know we should avoid it before bed, but can you explain the mechanism? Why is it so bad?
Sure. So blue light wavelengths are particularly effective at suppressing the production of melatonin. That's the key hormone your brain releases to signal that it's time to wind down and initiate sleep.
Yeah.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, scrolling on your phone right up until you turn the lights out doesn't just keep your mind buzzing, it actively prevents your body from starting the necessary hormonal cascade for good quality rest. You're blocking the go-to-sleep signal.
Makes sense. Okay, so that's sleep. Let's transition from the foundations to fuel, nutrition. You mentioned the brain is a high-performance system. It's surprisingly demanding, right?
It's incredibly demanding. It uses about 20% of your total daily energy expenditure.
20%? Wow.
Yeah, even though it only makes up about 2% of your body weight. So what you feed it matters hugely. You're basically fueling this high output furnace.
And what kind of fuel works best?
Well, since the brain is about 60% fat, the type of fat you consume is profoundly important. We really need omega-3 fatty acids, specifically DHA and EPA.
Okay, omega-3s, we hear about those a lot. Fish oil, flax seeds.
Exactly. And they aren't just like generic energy, they are actual structural components of your neuron cell membranes. They help ensure efficient communication between brain cells. Think of them as premium oil for the engine.
So if we're aiming for peak cognitive function, like better memory or focus, is there a specific type or source of omega-3 that's better?
Research suggests DHA is particularly critical for the structure involved in memory and learning. So focusing on sources rich in DHA and EPA is key. That means fatty fish like wild salmon, sardines, mackerel.
Got it, the oily fish.
Right. Or if you don't eat fish, a high-quality algae-based supplement can work. Plant sources like walnuts and flax seeds are good. They contain ALA, but the body's conversion of ALA into the really crucial DHA and EPA can be quite inefficient for many people.
Okay, good to know. What about like quick brain-boosting snacks, things you can grab easily?
Two excellent science-backed options come to mind straight away. First, blueberries. They're absolutely packed with antioxidants called anthocyanins, which protect the brain, and have actually been shown in studies to improve memory and attention in various age groups, from kids to older adults.
Blueberries. Okay, I like blueberries. What's the second one?
Dark chocolate, but specifically the high cacao kind, like 70% cacao or higher.
Ah, the good stuff.
Exactly. The flavonoids in dark chocolate can boost blood flow to the brain, which helps with alertness and focus. But, and this is crucial, it has to be in genuine moderation. We're not talking about wolfing down a whole bar.
Right. A small square, maybe?
Yeah.
And what about drinks? For that sort of smooth, non-jittery focus we all crave sometimes, green tea often comes up. What makes the caffeine in green tea feel different from, say, coffee?
It's the magic synergy with an amino acid called L-theanine. Green tea naturally contains both caffeine and L-theanine.
L-theanine.
Oh, so the caffeine provides the alertness, we know that, but L-theanine promotes alpha brainwave activity. These alpha waves are associated with a state of calm, relaxed alertness, like being in the zone but not wired.
Interesting. So you get the energy boost without the sort of high anxiety edge or the jitters that some people get from coffee?
Precisely. It often leads to a more sustained, smooth focus. It's a really nice balance.
Okay. And finally, on fuel.
Oh.
We really have to touch on the gut-brain connection. It sometimes feels like a trendy topic. But why is gut health actually fundamental for focus and mood?
Oh, it's far, far from just trendy. It's deep physiology. Your gut is home to trillions of microbes, the gut microbiome, and these microbes are in constant communication with your brain, primarily via the vagus nerve.
The gut talks to the brain.
Constantly. And here's a critical piece. About 90% of your body's serotonin is produced in the gut by these microbes.
90%? Wow. I thought serotonin was all in the brain.
Most of it originates in the gut, and serotonin is a key neurotransmitter for regulating mood stability, feelings of well-being, and also focused attention.
Okay. So looking after your gut microbes directly helps your brain perform better.
Absolutely. Feeding those beneficial microbes with things like fiber from plants and probiotics from fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, kimchi, sauerkraut, that directly supports your central nervous system's performance.
That's fascinating. Okay, so on the flip side then, foods to maybe limit or avoid. We all know refined sugar isn't great, but what's the actual mechanism behind the sugar crash? Why is it so bad for the brain over time?
Right. So things with a high glycemic load, refined sugars, white flour, processed carbs, they cause a really rapid spike in blood sugar. Your body then releases a surge of insulin to deal with it, which often overshoots, leading to a rapid drop in blood sugar. That's the crash. And this blood sugar roller coaster is terrible for the brain because the brain relies on a steady, consistent supply of glucose for energy.
So the instability is the problem.
Yes. And over the long term, consistently high blood sugar levels can actually damage the small blood vessels in the brain. It can even impair the function of the transporters that get glucose into brain cells, essentially starving neurons, particularly in areas critical for memory, like the hippocampus.
Wow. That really puts those occasional sugary energy drinks into a frankly terrifying new light, doesn't it?
It really should. They provide a very temporary spike followed by that detrimental crash and potentially long-term harm.
Okay, moving the conversation forward. Let's connect these foundational inputs, sleep and fuel, to output. And a key output is movement, right? Exercise.
Yeah.
We often just think of it as physical fitness for the body.
Yeah.
But you're saying it's a major mental upgrade too.
Oh, it's absolutely fundamental for the brain. The first, most immediate benefit is simply increased blood flow.
Right. More oxygen, more fuel.
Exactly. You're delivering more oxygen and more of that premium fuel we just talked about straight to your neurons. It wakes everything up.
But you also mentioned something fascinating earlier, structural changes. You said regular activity can actually cause the hippocampus, the memory and learning center, to grow larger. Is that right? It can actually grow.
Yes, that's well established in research. Physical activity, particularly aerobic exercise, stimulates growth in the hippocampus.
That's incredible. Is that change permanent, or does it kind of shrink back if you stop exercising?
Well, like any muscle, it requires ongoing maintenance. Consistency is key. But the growth potential is real, and a major reason for this is that cardio exercise stimulates the release of BDNF.
BDNF. What's that stand for?
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. You can think of BDNF as potent fertilizer for your brain cells.
Fertilizer for brain cells. I like that.
Yeah. It encourages the birth of new neurons. That's called neurogenesis, and it strengthens the connections between existing neurons, synaptogenesis. This makes your brain fundamentally better at learning new things and also more resilient to stress.
Okay, that definitely makes the commitment to move feel more worthwhile, knowing it's literally building a better brain. So, how much exercise do we really need to get some of these BDNF benefits? Do we have to be, like, training for a marathon?
Not at all. Which is great news. Even just brisk walking, say 20 to 30 minutes most days, is enough to significantly boost focus, elevate mood, partly by clearing out stress hormones like cortisol and boosting endorphins, and stimulate some of that beneficial BDNF release.
20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking. That feels achievable.
Totally. And for people who are desk-bound most of the day, which is a lot of us, even the simple act of standing up, stretching, walking around for a few minutes every half hour or so makes a difference.
Why is breaking up sitting so important?
Because prolonged sitting significantly slows down blood flow, including to the brain. It pretty much guarantees mental sluggishness and fatigue, so just breaking that pattern frequently is crucial for maintaining mental energy.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. And it leads us right into mental fitness. If we accept the brain as plastic, like you said, then the only way to really capitalize on that is through novelty and challenge. Right? You have to actually use the muscle to strengthen it.
Precisely. The brain is a use it or lose its organ in many ways. When you learn something genuinely new and challenging, maybe it's a new language, a musical instrument, coding, even complex strategy games like chess, you are literally forcing your brain to create new neural pathways. You're changing its physical circuitry.
And that effort, that struggle, is actually the growth happening.
Exactly. It's driven by that effort and often by the internal motivation, the curiosity to learn.
So beyond learning, say, a whole new language, what are some specific, maybe more repeatable mental workouts that really tap into this neuroplasticity effectively?
Well, classic puzzles are excellent. Things like crosswords, Sudoku, logic problems, they directly challenge working memory, reasoning, problem-solving skills, sometimes even foresight. And an interesting bonus. When you successfully solve a puzzle, even a small part of it, your brain releases a little burst of dopamine. That's the reward chemical. It feels good, and it reinforces the learning, making your brain kind of eager to tackle the next challenge.
So the pleasure reinforces the practice.
Exactly. Another great workout is reading complex material outside your usual comfort zone. Not just passively reading, but actively engaging with it, maybe discussing it with someone, trying to summarize the core arguments.
I really like that idea you mentioned, returning to being a beginner. That it's not necessarily about achieving mastery right away, but embracing the exploration, that initial cognitive friction.
Yes. That friction is the workout. Whether it's learning the rules of chess, figuring out a new software, or grappling with a dense philosophy book, that active engagement, that process of figuring things out, is what strengthens those neural pathways. It forces your brain to integrate new information.
Okay, so we've covered sleep, fuel, physical movement, mental challenge. But now we have to tackle the elephant in the room, really. How do we reclaim any kind of focus in this world that seems designed to constantly steal it? We all fall victim to the multitasking illusion.
Oh, it's such a destructive illusion because we aren't actually multitasking. Our brains can't truly focus on multiple complex things simultaneously. What we're doing is rapidly switching between tasks.
Task switching. Right.
And every single time you switch, even if it's just a quick glance at a notification, you incur a mental cost. It's called attention residue.
Attention residue. Explain that.
It means that even after you switch back to your main task, a part of your cognitive bandwidth, a part of your focus, remains stuck on the previous thing, the email you just checked, the message you glanced at.
So you're never fully present on the new task immediately.
Exactly. It slows you down, increases errors, and makes it much harder to get into that state of deep work or flow.
Okay, so the goal then has to be intentional focus. Isolation, almost.
Yeah.
How do we even begin something like a digital detox when our work, our lives, seems so tied to our tech?
The key is to start small and be intentional. A digital detox doesn't necessarily mean, going off the grid for a week. It's more about creating deliberate screen-free times and zones. Like maybe making meals completely tech-free zones, no phones at the table, or enforcing a strict digital sunset, say, no screens for the last hour before you intend to sleep, just giving your nervous system 30 or 60 minutes of intentional rest from the constant input.
Okay, small steps. And what about when we actually need to get work done? You mentioned a practical technique, focus sprints.
Yes. This is basically applying the principles of interval training to your brain's focus muscle.
Interval training for the brain, how does it work?
It's simple. You set a timer, maybe start with 25 minutes like the Pomodoro technique, or maybe 45 minutes if you can manage it, and you dedicate that block to one single task.
One thing, no distractions.
Absolutely critical. Phone out of sight, notifications off, close unnecessary tabs. During that sprint, you only do that one thing. Then when the timer goes off, you take a short mandatory break, 5 or 10 minutes, get up, stretch, look away from the screen.
And that trains the brain to sustain attention.
Exactly. It rebuilds that capacity for deep focus, and the break allows your mind to reset before the next sprint. It respects the brain's natural rhythms.
Okay, that sounds practical. This focus idea leads really nicely into mindfulness, doesn't it? Regular mindfulness practice is often said to physically change the brain. What specific areas actually benefit the most?
The research here is really compelling. Regular mindfulness practice, and we're talking even just 5 or 10 minutes a day consistently, has been shown to increase gray matter density in brain regions associated with learning, memory, self-awareness, and emotional regulation, like the prefrontal cortex and hippocampus.
Wow, actual structural changes.
Yes. And simultaneously, it's been shown to decrease gray matter density in the amygdala.
The amygdala, that's the fear center, right? The stress hub.
That's right. It's the brain's core alarm system. So mindfulness practice seems to literally help calm that alarm system, making us less reactive to stress.
And the key thing with mindfulness, I gather, isn't to empty your mind completely.
No, not at all. That's a common misconception. The goal is simply to notice when your mind wanders, which it absolutely will, and then gently, without judgment, guide your focus back, maybe back to your breath or bodily sensations.
So that act of noticing the drift and returning, that's the mental rep. That's the exercise.
That's the core of it. That gentle redirection strengthens the neural circuits of attention and self-awareness.
Are there simple techniques people can try, maybe besides just using guided apps?
Definitely. A really powerful and simple one is box breathing. It's used by Navy SEALs, athletes, lots of high performers.
Box breathing, how does that work?
Super simple. You inhale slowly through your nose for a count of 4 seconds. Then you hold your breath gently for 4 seconds. Then you exhale slowly through your mouth for 4 seconds. And finally, you hold the breath out for 4 seconds. Then repeat the cycle.
Inhale 4, hold 4, exhale 4, hold 4. Like drawing a box with your breath.
Exactly. Just doing that for a minute or two can immediately hack your nervous system. It slows your heart rate, calms the physiological stress response, and can bring almost instantaneous mental clarity. It's great for hitting reset during a stressful day.
I'm going to try that later. Okay, finally, let's touch on two maybe less obvious but really powerful forces for lifelong cognitive health: connection and curiosity. Real conversation, you mentioned, is surprisingly like an intense mental workout.
Oh, it absolutely is. Think about what's involved in a genuine back and forth conversation.
Yeah.
You're processing spoken language in real time, accessing memories, reading nonverbal cues, understanding perspective, formulating your own thoughts, predicting what the other person might say.
Oh, yeah. That's a lot happening at once.
It's a complex cognitive symphony. It engages multiple brain regions simultaneously. And that's why strong social connections and regular, meaningful interaction are consistently shown to be powerful protective factors against cognitive decline as we age.
And loneliness, conversely.
Loneliness has been strongly linked in studies to an increased risk of memory loss and dementia. Social engagement keeps the brain active and resilient.
And interestingly, even listening to meaningful dialogue, like hopefully this deep dive, even though it feels passive, it still activates many of those same language and comprehension regions, right?
Yes, definitely. Listening attentively to complex ideas, new vocabulary, different perspectives, it exposes your brain to novel cognitive stimuli and exercises those language and comprehension pathways.
And what's fascinating there, I think, is that the connection doesn't always have to mean talking yourself. It's about being mentally present and engaged with another mind, or with new information being presented.
Precisely. Your brain thrives on that kind of meaningful external stimulation and engagement.
Okay, and the final booster for all this growth, the thing that kind of fuels the desire to engage and learn, is curiosity. You called it the ultimate self-starter.
It really is. From a neurological perspective, curiosity acts as a powerful intrinsic motivator. When you're genuinely curious about something, your brain releases dopamine in its reward centers, the same areas involved in pleasure and motivation.
Ah, dopamine again.
Yeah.
So curiosity literally makes learning feel good.
Yes. And that dopamine hit doesn't just provide motivation, it actually enhances memory formation for the information you learned while you were curious. It makes the learning stickier, more memorable.
So cultivating curiosity is key for lifelong learning and keeping the brain flexible.
Absolutely. The most cognitively vibrant people you often find are those who never stop asking questions, never stop exploring, never lose that sense of wonder. They maintain that neuroplasticity by constantly seeking out novelty.
And the methods for feeding curiosity are pretty much endless, aren't they?
Totally endless. Reading widely across different fields. Learning by taking up a new hobby like gardening, painting, cooking, coding. Using audiobooks or podcasts like this one to turn passive time like commuting into productive brain exploration time.
And the crucial mindset here seems to be focusing on the exploration itself, not necessarily on achieving perfection or mastery right away.
Exactly. It's about being willing to not know, to be a beginner again, and to keep exploring anyway, purely for the joy of discovery and the inherent growth that comes with it.
Okay, so let's try to synthesize this. The core message for optimizing your brain seems to be, well, it's not about adding a ton of complicated new tasks.
Not at all. It's much more about intentionally optimizing the quality of your foundational pillars, getting sufficient high-quality sleep, fueling your brain with the right nutrients, incorporating regular physical movement.
I get the basics solid.
And then, on top of that foundation, proactively challenge your focus. That means managing digital distractions, engaging in mentally stimulating activities that involve novelty and challenge, and fostering real connection and curiosity.
And it really comes down to consistency, doesn't it? Every small decision, what you choose to eat when you put your phone down at night, whether you take the stairs, what you choose to learn, it's like a vocast for a stronger, clearer, more flexible mind.
Beautifully put. It's about building those consistent habits.
So here's maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to explore. We've talked about neuroplasticity, the fact that your brain is constantly adapting based on how you use it.
It's always changing.
So knowing that, what genuinely new, maybe slightly challenging mental skill could you commit to starting to learn this week? Not for work, not for any external validation, but purely for the joy of the challenge and for the structural growth of your own amazing mind. What pathway will you start building?